The Perfect Way, taken from the ALETHEON, Volume 2, the Divine Avataric Self-Revelation of His Divine Presence, Avatar Adidar Samraj. Part 1. Reality itself is inside. Reality itself is outside. Reality itself as it is cannot be sought and found either inside or outside. Reality itself is not self-realized as it is by turning within from outside or from the naively presumed self-position of the body. Reality itself is not self-realized as it is by turning to out from inside or from the naively presumed self-position of the mind. Reality itself is self-realized as it is only prior to inside and outside, or prior to naive self-identification with body and or mind. Reality itself is self-realized as it is only in tacit self-recognition of itself as consciousness itself, always already self-abiding as mere and a causal witness of all apparently arising thoughts, perceptions, and actions. Reality itself is self-realized as it is only in tacit self-recognition of itself as conscious energy itself, always merely apparently and causally, and without implied ego identity and ego bondage, self-modified as all and all that conditionally arises or appears by means of cause and effect processes. Reality itself is self-realized as egoless, one and only, indivisible, a causal, self-existing, self-radiant, transcendental spiritual, and self-evidently divine conscious light. Reality itself is real God. 2. Real God is reality itself. Reality itself is not like a deity or a creator God. Real God is not like a Santa Claus or a wish-granting genie. Reality itself is not auto-driven unconsciousness or a self-replicating material machine. Real God is not an autogenous computer or a self-existing mere pattern of objectivity. Reality itself is the egoless, a causal, transcendental spiritual, and self-evidently divine indivisibility that is the self-nature, self-condition, self-state, and conscious light of all and all, and the all and all self-organizing, and intrinsically all and all self-correcting, and inevitably all and all self-brightening, and perfectly all and all self-brightening, source context of all and all. Therefore, why pray to God for favors when real God is always already, egolessly, and of course is self-evident, full, perfect, and without negativity, lack, or absence? 3. Praying to God for favors, as that practice is promoted and exercised by and within exoteric religious institutions, is like the otherwise popularly promoted and exercised public practice of children writing letters to Santa Claus. That is to say, there is no Santa Claus to receive and accommodate the gift-requesting letters, and likewise, there is no God out there to receive and accommodate the gift-requesting prayers. In the case of the letters and also the prayers, the gift requests are, whether consciously or unconsciously, intended by the letter writer or the prayer maker and everyone else to be secretly overheard, either within the parental house in the case of the children, or within the institutional and social sphere of the God house in the case of the religionists. The Letters to Santa game is a direct but entirely secular extension of the Prayers to God game of exoteric religion, and both of these socially sanctioned enterprises are associated with the self-deluded effort of appealing to a non-existing parent-like other to accommodate and solve practical life desires, life deficiencies, and even terrible and tragic life problems. Therefore, in order for the otherwise absurd request process to work, it is by the parent-like authorities made false from the beginning. The fullness in both cases is in the provision for secret overhearing, such that the gift requests, once they are secretly overheard, within either the parental house or the God house, can be subsequently conveyed to various appropriate political, social, economic, or cultural sectors of the general consumer ego society. In this manner, the thus requested practical wish fulfillments can, at least to some significant degree, be satisfied, generally, by consumer businesses, and otherwise by economically based social and cultural institutions, and in general for a price. Understood in this manner, the institutional exoteric religious promoting of the efficacy of praying to God for favors is clearly an example of institutionally and economically driven falseness in the sphere of exoteric religion, and indeed a fullness not in the Western world, unlike the Catholic Christian practice of selling indulgences, that was a fundamental basis for the Protestant Christian Reformation. 4. The device of letters to Santa is a clever invention of consumer ego society, whereby the otherwise secret wishes of children can be secretly overheard by parents and others, including department store Santas, and in an indirect manner, such that the subsequent wish fulfillments, or even the possible failure to satisfy any particular wish, can be provided or not as if by magic, or as if by an iconic mythical source of infinite supply capability. Santa Claus, as he is now iconically identified, is a 19th century invention of Western consumer culture, as that culture moved into the era of industrial and now technological revolution and inventiveness. That revolutionary consumer culture further extended the already developing Western cultural process of ego-asserting secularism and materialism. Thus, the modern icon of Santa Claus is a rather transparent secular revisioning of the Western ego-saving and ego-rewarding creator God, and the immense social, economic, cultural, and also always politically enterprise of modern Christmas is an equally transparent secular and consumer ego revisioning of Western and especially Protestant Christian religion. The ultimate human demonstration of the inherent fault of Creator God religion, and of all other modes of the ego-based and ego-serving culture of world realization and body realization and mind idealization, is its secular revisioning as a merely political, social, and economic consumer culture. 5. Real God, or the self-evidently divine self-nature, self-condition, and self-state that is reality itself, is of an egoless, indivisible, non-objective, and a causal nature. The realization of real God, or the intrinsically egoless and self-evidently divine self-nature, self-condition, and self-state of reality itself, requires ecstatic or really ego-transcending participation in the ego nature, self-condition, and self-state. That is intrinsically or tacitly and always already the one, only, and perfectly indivisible case. 6. The divine that is reality itself does not cause, and indeed is not in the space-time point of view position that would be necessary in order to cause the conditionally arising universe or any and every ego or any and every thing within the conditionally arising universe. The real divine or intrinsically egoless and point of view less reality itself is not a deity or an objective God or any kind of objective relation of ego-I. The real divine or indivisible, non-objective and a causal reality itself cannot be located or achieved or talked into granting favours by any conditional effort or by any egoic self-method whatsoever. Real God, or the self-evidently divine self-nature, self-condition and self-state that is reality itself, is not a cause or even the cause, but real God or reality itself is only the self-evident and perfectly egoless, perfectly indivisible, perfectly non-objective, perfectly acausal, perfectly all-in-all self-organizing, perfectly all-in-all self-correcting, perfectly all-in-all self-rightening, and perfectly all-in-all self-brightening source, or perfectly love-blissful self-nature, self-condition, self-state, and self-context, or root nature, root condition, root state, and root context of all and all that conditionally and manifest apparently arising. Da, da, da.